Hey everyone, this is Nick O'Malley here from MassLive.com, here with Andrew Callahan, back at Foxborough, back at Gillette Stadium. Tom Brady's back, and it's minicamp time.
Yeah, football is here, which is, everyone's excited for summer. I think we're excited for both right now. We have 3 days consecutively of practice, of football. There are no pads out there, but for all intents and purposes, football is here as much as you can expect in Foxborough. And Brady is the headline, of course. You also have other players showing up for the first time, namely Michael Bennett, big trade acquisition from this offseason, who's viewed really as Trey Flowers' replacement. So everyone was essentially there today, except for Sony Michel, a couple of injured players, Patrick Chung headlining that group, and then Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the tight end, who got released today. So again, football is back. There are surprises. Yeah. It's very Patriot Day here on Tuesday.
Yeah, a lot of attention on the tight end group today because I guess Matt Lacoste is the starter week 1 because Ben Watson suspended 4 games and I guess Steven Anderson's in the mix. Ryan Izzo?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, a lot of moving parts. Again, the Patriots always keep you on your toes, and you look at the receiver group, question marks abound. Tight end, it's getting smaller, but there still is a question mark. Gronk was here on Sunday, not to announce he's coming back, but for a charity event. He, in fact, reiterated that he's staying retired. So that leaves, as we mentioned, Seferian-Jenkins is gone. Matt Lacoste, to me, looks like the starter, but again, there's only so much you can draw from June. He looked good as a receiver. It's tough to assess his blocking, but on the outside, I think you can expect Julian Edelman and Philip Dorsett. Nikhil Harry, of course, going to be in that mix, and then Matt Lacoste and Ben Watson kind of jostling for position at tight end, but we still have months to go.
Who in particular stood out for you today as much as an unpadded practice in the start of June can stand out?
Yeah, it's a good way to cushion that, but I think even had it been padded, Braxton Berrios was really good today, and it's funny because he's a 6th-round pick out of Miami, viewed as the next kind of, smaller, shiftier, quicker guy in the mold of a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, because Berrios also returns punts, but he wasn't really impressive last summer. So what they did with the minor injuries, put him on injured reserve. You don't see him for the rest of the year. Today, he had a massive diving catch and a 50-yard touchdown pass from Brian Hoyer over Juwan Williams, who's their 2nd-round pick, cornerback out of Vanderbilt. Then he has a later touchdown and 11-on-11. So he was sharp today, showed good hands, crisp routes, and I think that's all you can ask for here in June. Does that mean he's going to make the roster? No. But for him, a guy who's really fighting for his life here in New England, a good first step.
Yeah, the post I have up tomorrow focuses a lot on what the 2019 rookie class did this week. But I think one of the most underrated storylines heading into the season is what the 2018 draft class, one that was kind of lost to injury. What is Duke Dawson, Ryan Izzo, Braxton Berrios,
Isaiah Wynn,
like all these guys that were on IR last year? It's basically a double-sized rookie class of guys who haven't played in the regular season. How are they going to fit in with this team?
And it's a really interesting dynamic too, not only just because, as you said, it's basically like an extra half of a rookie class, but you have a lot of rookies on this coaching staff. So how does that all come together? Where Bill Belichick is really the only one pulling all these strings. He, of course, can rely on Josh McDaniels offensively, but new faces, in different places. So for them, but the one name that I think to really keep in mind, we talk about Barris had a good day. That's great. Isaiah Wynn looks healthy. He was participating in individual drills, and he's a projected starter at left tackle. So he did not participate in team periods. I think it's just their way of easing him back in from a torn Achilles he suffered last August. But for Wynn, a good, again, first step you see here in June. And when he wasn't in there, interestingly enough, Joe Thuney, who we saw 2 weeks ago during one OTA's practice, again, taking everything we're saying with a grain of salt, but he was taking first-team reps at left tackle. So for a team that just lost Jared Valdir, projected to be their 3rd tackle, they might go, it's probably not worth signing someone who's still on the street at this point. Let's see if Joe Thuney might be able to provide backup depth, and if Wynn goes down again, be able to kick out and start their left tackle.
Yeah, again, as you mentioned, what we see lineups in June don't really mean anything, and sometimes that results in some weird stuff, like Danny Etling as a personal punt protector. What the heck does that mean?
Yeah, the key part from this week is not so much what happens on an individual day-to-day basis, but when you start to see trends, that's when you start to take notice, because that's enough evidence to say this is not only something the staff wants to try out, but it's something they might want to stick with. So I bring up Thuney because, again, this is something we saw 2 weeks ago, and it's something we saw here again today, and given, their next practices are tomorrow and then Thursday, probably something you see again. If not, of course, it is a blip on the radar, like Danny Etling being a personal pass protector. It's a guy who's fighting for his life, like Berrios, and is a little bit further behind with Jarrett Stidham, the 4th-round rookie who took all of the 3rd-string snaps here today. But, it is interesting because Thuney, I think, can do that. He's certainly more known for his pass protection at left guard, which would be his primary assignment at left tackle, of course, protecting Tom Brady's blind side.
So what are you looking forward to for the remaining days of minicamp?
I think I'd go back to those rookies that you mentioned. And Nick, as you said, you're going to have a breakdown of this tomorrow. How does Chase Winovich look? How does Damien Harris look? I talked to Damien Harris today. He's seeing a lot of those carries that Sony Michel otherwise would, because Michel, again, mysteriously out. We know he deals with knee issues, but these are players who could see real impact roles as we come up here on the season. So, Winovich is going to be more of a sub-rusher role, but Damien Harris, I'm not here to say he might be the feature back, but as much as Michel was essentially first and second down, he's, about the same size. It comes from an experienced program, and is a guy who between the tackles might be their best option. So how do those guys look when you've got multiple practices stringing together?
Yeah, and what really stood out to me today is how natural Damien Harris looked catching the ball, running routes. He was catching balls on out routes better than I think Sony Michel did at any point last year. I think that will be something important to watch heading into training camp and how he compares there.
Yeah, Damien Harris just looked like he belonged. Whether it was receiving, whether it was rushing, he was decisive, he was smooth. It wasn't effortless. And again, this is just one practice, but if this carries over the next few days, you definitely look at him not only as a roster lock, because he's a third-round pick, but a guy who will be a lock to make an impact on offense for the Patriots, which is a bonus for them, especially given Michel's injury concern.
Yeah, starting tomorrow, we'll make 2 practices, see what trends we do see with the Patriots so far. So make sure, stay tuned. Check in for more coverage tomorrow. Day after that, heading into the rest of training camp. As we get into training camp next month, minicamp this month.
It'll be here soon enough.
Football's coming back eventually. Tom Brady's back in Foxborough, and we'll be back tomorrow for more coverage from Gillette. Until then, thanks folks for tuning in.
See you guys.